Hello and welcome to our review of the issues that made the headlines in 2018. In January, we reported on Equalities Minister Justine Greening's admission that government plans to make changing legal sex easier were complex and divisive. She announced in July 2017 that a consultation would take place that autumn, but the plans were delayed amid strong opposition from women's groups. On the 1st of February, the Institute responded to comments made by Ofsted chief Amanda Spielman, who accused religious groups of perverting education. She called on head teachers to promote muscular liberalism in their schools, in order to tackle those who undermine so-called British values. Institute Director Colin Hart warned that muscular liberalism must not mean aggressive secularism. As Stonewall urged secondary schools across the country to promote LGBT issues in maths, science and PE, most Brits said that parents, not teachers, are best placed to teach their children about sex. And on the 21st of February, the evangelist Billy Graham was called to be with the Lord. Reverend Graham passed away aged 99 after a lifetime spreading the good news of Jesus Christ. In March, NHS Wales admitted that a smacking ban will criminalise parents. If staff suspect a patient or parent may smack their child, they will have a duty to report that person to the police or social services. And Girl Guide leaders protested against new rules allowing boys to share changing rooms, tents and shower facilities with girls. The guidelines also said parents should not be informed if their daughter would be sharing facilities with a boy. The Department of Education confirmed in April that plans to legislate for Ofsted to be able to inspect out-of-school settings, such as church youth groups, had been dropped. Almost 3/4 of respondents to the government's consultation said they opposed the move. The Department for Education later said that it would use guidance in place of changes to the law. In the same week, Ealing Council introduced the UK's first buffer zone around an abortion clinic. In May, the UK Supreme Court heard arguments on the Asher's Baking Company gay cake case. The MacArthur family, which runs the bakery, had refused to decorate a cake with the slogan "Support Gay Marriage", and the judges considered whether or not it was discriminatory of them to do so. The government announced that the maximum stake on addictive betting machines, known as fixed odds betting terminals, would be cut from £100 to £2. At the end of the month, Scotland's Children's Commissioner said children as young as 12 should be allowed to change sex and to do so without parental approval. In June, the Supreme Court dismissed an attempt to overturn Northern Ireland's pro-life abortion laws. The case had been brought by the Northern Ireland Human Rights Commission. Protections were also upheld by the Court of Appeal in regards to assisted suicide. Senior judges ruled that the current law does not infringe the rights of Noel Conway, who brought the case with the backing of assisted suicide campaigners. A primary school in London was forced to tone down an LGBT celebration event after parents protested. They complained that their children were too young to be taught about homosexuality and transgenderism. In early July, Theresa May launched a consultation on reforming the 2004 Gender Recognition Act to remove legal safeguards for people who want to change sex. The Prime Minister used a 75-point LGBT action plan to argue for the process of changing sex to be demedicalised. A YouGov poll showed that the overwhelming majority of the public believe current safeguards should remain in place. In proposing laws for the Welsh Assembly to pass in the next 12 months, departing First Minister Carwyn Jones admitted that a smacking ban would criminalise parents. Despite this, he said pushing the law through was a top priority. Towards the end of the month, the Supreme Court rejected a case which would have in effect legalised no-fault divorce. A woman named Teenie Owens wanted the law to change so that she could divorce her husband. But Institute Director Colin Hart said overhauling divorce laws to permit divorce for any reason would be a disaster. August saw figures from the Office for National Statistics showing the number of deaths from so-called legal highs had halved in a year. It came as the Home Office insisted that police take a tough stance on cannabis. Towards the end of the month, the government decided it would approve dangerous DIY home abortions in England. The decision was challenged by pro-life organisation the Society for the Protection of Unborn Children, which said the move is unlawful. During September, the government rejected calls for abortion buffer zones to be implemented nationwide, with Home Secretary Sajid Javid saying the UK should be proud of its long-standing tradition of free speech. The government launched an inquiry into the astronomical rise in young girls being referred to the Tavistock Gender Identity Clinic. Equalities Minister Penny Mordaunt wanted officials to look into the influence of social media and the promotion of transgenderism in schools. The government also launched its consultation on making it easier to get a divorce, proposing to introduce no-fault divorce. On the 10th of October, after 4 years of legal battles, Asher's Baking Company won its case at the Supreme Court. The landmark victory saw a ruling that upholds free speech and prevents the law from forcing businesses to express views with which they profoundly disagree. Also in October, Theresa May backed civil partnerships for heterosexual couples. Stonewall was accused of bullying by 17 LGBT campaigners due to its attempts to shut down all debate about transsexualism. And at the end of the month, MPs voted against Northern Ireland's laws protecting women and the unborn, although the vote did not change the law. The government faced criticism in November for delaying the introduction of cuts to the maximum stake on fixed odds betting terminals. But following the resignation of Sports Minister Tracy Crouch and cross-party pressure, the government agreed to bring the proposed cuts forward from October to April 2019. Scottish councils were warned by the Christian Institute over controversial LGBT guidance for schools. The Institute said that the misleading guidance contained key errors and omissions, which could leave schools and councils liable to legal action. In December, the Department for Education launched a consultation on guidance for out-of-school settings. The Christian Institute and others challenged the move over fears the guidance could lead to state regulation of Sunday schools and youth groups. And finally, the Christian owner of toy retailer The Entertainer spoke exclusively to the Christian Institute about how he is challenging the increasing secularization of Christmas by placing nativity displays in all of his shop windows. Gary Grant said the firm's prominent nativity displays were an important way of reminding people of the reason for the season, Jesus' birth. Thank you for standing with us in 2018. Your prayers and support have made a vital difference. We give thanks to God and trust Him to provide for our every need in the year ahead.